Yeah, it's finally warmed up enough I can open this up. It's supposed to be nice, fairly nice for the next 10 days at least, so. But there's a problem. It ain't rolling up right. And this is an old problem, but I think it's worse here right now. Something's changed. Yeah, you can tell that pipe it rolls up is bent. And that's because of this thing, this building. Snow came off the roof the one time, and well, actually twice, and it bent this. What the problem ends up being, there's a piece of, it's like conduit, I don't know, 7/8 or an inch conduit that rolls up on. And there's these, I don't see any on the ground right now, they usually pop off. What's the problem? There's these C-clips that clamp the tarp to it, so it rolls up. But being that that's bent, it flexes and it'll actually pop them things off, and then it ends up spinning inside the sleeve, and that's why it doesn't pull up right. And I haven't really taken the time to, you're gonna have to slide that whole thing out. I mean, this is I think this curtain's 100 foot, so I got 100 foot of pipe I'd have to slide out to where it's straight again, cut it out and get new tubing, connect it on. And I haven't had time to do it. I don't know if it's something special that comes with the curtains or not. I think I just go to like a hardware store and say, I could get this tubing, but you're going to pay truck freight from the companies that sell these curtains. So I think it's just regular tubing from I can get conduit at the hardware store and fix this. But yeah, what happened is, like I say, the snow slid off this building, and I'll show here in a minute. See, what happens is, this is the west, and the storms come across the top of this building. And if anybody knows how snow drifts, it, like I say, it hits that peak, it shoots it up, and then since this building's higher, it hits there and makes a swirl. And it actually pushes it back up this side. And it was probably about 8 years ago. We had maybe like 4 inches of snow there, but at least 1.5 foot snow up there. And one day I was feeding cows and it was thawing, and all of a sudden I went from 0 feet of snow in between these buildings to over 6 foot of snow in less than 2 seconds. It just come crashing down. And like I say, what happened was, as it slid out, it was landing here, and it landed on that. It tore up the sheet metal. I've replaced some of it, but you can maybe see it's still kind of wrinkled down through there. And it bent that pipe. And that's the best case scenario. If I built this building the way they wanted, now this was done under a grant through the conservation district, or not the conservation, NRCS, Natural Resource Conservation Service. And when they drew up the plans, they had 4 foot in between these buildings. And in between here, there's a French drain. There's an 8-inch tile down through this gravel to catch the water and drain it out of here, so I don't have a mud hole. Well, I told them at that time, I said, no, what's going to happen when all the snow comes off the roof and it plugs this up in here? Oh, you won't have to worry about that. And I argued with them. Finally, they agreed, and I got 8 foot. Now, if I had that 4 foot, that snow would have came down on that cover and ripped the shit out of it. And then say, twice now, I've gone through here with the skid steer and dug this out. And like I said, the guy that built the building, he didn't want to put them snow stops on the roof, which is probably the good thing, because if I had that much snow, I don't know if this will hold it. But this is beefed up a lot more than most pole buildings. If you look at the address on the plans from the NRCS for this building, they have a Florida address. I think this building's built to hurricane specs, because the guy that built that, these ones that run straight, he said he probably would have only done 3 across here. Well, they did 5, and then you got diagonal bracing there, and you got that one there going across. I mean, they got all kinds of, they went through a whole rack of 2x4s just for the tie-ins and trusses to tie this all together. So I mean, it's supposed to be, I'm sure it's for hurricane specs. But like I said, he didn't want to put the snow stops, and he said, because I probably would have had too much weight on here. And what I've been thought about doing at one time was taking a piece of strap metal and welding it on a plate to put on the fascia board there, so that sticks up like 6 or 8 inches above the edge of the roof. And then that way, when that snow, put them down there like every 5 foot, maybe even 10 foot would be enough. So when that snow starts sliding, that acts like a knife and starts splitting, because what happened, it all came down to one sheet and it shot straight out. Well, if it had something to break it as it was coming down that was splitting off, that would just start dropping instead of coming clear out. And it's done it twice. But yeah, like I said, that's what happened there. And that's what I think happened. Some of them clips have come off, and now it's kind of turning the sleeve, because it used to roll up just a little bit higher than that. But yeah, now I get the big curtain opened. Yeah, they're calling for 70 degrees tomorrow, and it's going to be nice for the next several days. So it's time to get stuff open up. I like to get that damn thing fixed. Right there, it ticks me off. 2 years ago, I put $7,000 in that tractor, overhauling the motor. And then last fall, near as I can tell, the input shaft that goes through the flywheel into the transmission, something in there stripped. Because the tractor will move. It's whatever, this is the shaft that goes back and starts driving everything else. I mean, the tractor moves, but I have no 3-point hitch, no hydraulics, no power steering. It's got a hydraulic assist on the clutch. And that, I mean, I have no hydraulic anything. So that's, I have something in the works here. Maybe by the end of this weekend, I'll know whether I can get this fixed here. It's basically going to be another clutch job plus that. I mean, so there's around $2,000, $2,500 to get this tractor fixed. Say it pissed me off. Put $7,000 into it. I mean, it was new sleeves, new pistons, new oil pump, rebuilt injectors, new water pump. What else did they do? It was all major stuff. Like I had sleeve went bad, got water in the crankcase. So it was 6,000 hours on the tractor, so I decided to overhaul it. So that's one of the upcoming jobs. But today is going to be small jobs. This is the next job here today. Getting them things off. So I'm going to do after I get this curtain opened up here. Yeah, this is going to be the fun part. Got to do it by hand. Takes 15 cranks of that to make 1 crank of the rod. And I think it takes about 18 to raise it up. So take 18 times 15, that's what it's going to take. So I'll get that opened here and I'll be back. Yeah, I put it up about 3/4 away. That's enough. They are calling for 50s later in the week. Just need it opened up somewhat now, but try not to open and close this curtain any more than I have to. It's 140 foot. So the drill just won't quite do it. I got the J-bolt and the drill, but they'll put it down easy, but it takes a lot of torque to roll up the 140 foot. Now that curtain gets open and closed all the time. That's the other problem. Like I say, the weather comes from the west, and we get a heavy rains and stuff, it blows in there and gets the bedding all wet. So storms up, I got to close that. But so, and like I say, one last job here to get done before, well, I got 2 more jobs to do, simple jobs, but I'm going to make it snow again. Where is it? How to do this? Huh, I thought I had that fastened. Guess not. They must have broke off. The inside here, I got to take care of this. Oh, you see it now. Where's the tail at? I say it's usually got this long tail. You got. I usually zip tie it down the side here on the inside, but I can do this one-handed. Yeah, you gotta get. Oh, come on. Jesus. Yeah, I'll have to put it down. There. You gotta get that lined up into this notch here and pop it and just drop it off. And like I say, it'll snow after I get this done. Here in Pennsylvania, you gotta take tire chains off the, or not tire chains, studded tires off by April 15th, and we always get snow after that. Yeah, that's a job I got to do two-handed, so I won't be able to videotape all of it. Yeah, they just drop them, flip them loose, and drive out of them. That's all I got to do. But it's not that easy job one-handed. So I got one more small job to do here yet. Yeah, like I say, since I gotta get the barn cleaned today. If I get the spreader unplugged, it's a good time to be doing this. It's gonna make a really sloppy mess in here. Not that it ain't. Anyhow, I got sidetracked yesterday and didn't get the barns clean. There's the problem with these things. You get algae buildup. Cows with pigs. It's gonna be a quick clean today. I normally bring like the sanitizer, sanitize the pipeline with, and mix up a solution of that, bring out here, and scrub off that algae pretty good. Kills it off for a few days and get this warm weather, and it just comes right back. Yeah, it's just that simple. But like I say, it makes a big puddle mess. Yeah, and at the other end of the barn, at the other water, this one ain't quite so bad. So this just needs a light scrub out and fresh water. These are pretty nice waters. I haven't had no problem freezing up in the winter. Unless I lose power and lose water. As long as that opening stays covered, I don't have problems freezing. We got the float box there. We'll plug this up so I don't have any more water to bail out. Got the float box here, and as this fills up, this shuts off, and that's what keeps the level in there. But underneath these, there's a heat weld. That's what keeps, no electric in this. I have the ability to put a heater in there to keep it from freezing, but I've never needed it. But yeah, you're supposed to take I think it was a 10-inch piece of culvert pipe, and it's like 2 or 3 foot long. I mean, it's set down in the ground there, a good 4, down below frost line, down to 4 foot, and the water line comes through there and comes up, and it keeps the heat from the ground is warm enough to keep this box warmed so it doesn't freeze. Now, we didn't use culvert pipe. I took these 15-gallon drums that I get soap and tit dip in. We cut the top and the bottom off of it, and we spliced to them together with a couple boards and set that down in there. So that's what how them waters work. But yeah, I gotta go unplug the manure spreader now. I plugged that up the other night and the beaters won't turn, so I gotta go dig that out so I can get this cleaned out. I just thought I'd share a few of the small little jobs that get done during the day here. And as usual, like I say, ran on and on. Got a longer video than I planned on making, but so thought I'd share that. And thanks for watching. And see what else I can come up with. I'll talk to you later.